If you rely on a GPS to navigate your city every single day, neuroscientists will actually tell you that the cognitive map in your brain, specifically in your hippocampus, literally begins to shrink.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Right. You stop noticing landmarks. You lose your innate sense of direction because you outsource that spatial reasoning to a machine. Your biological hardware just, well, it atrophies.
Just wastes away.
Exactly. And welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are looking at a dynamic that is terrifyingly similar, but it's not happening to your sense of direction. It is happening to your ability to think, to learn, and to critically analyze the world.
Yeah, because we are living in this era of just absolute information abundance, right?
Oh.
Like you sit down with, I don't know, 42 browser tabs open, trying to wrap your head around a massive new project or some complex industry trend. And right there in the center of your screen is that little blinking text box.
The AI prompt.
The AI prompt. And the temptation to just type, summarize this and tell me what to think is overwhelming. But doing that is the intellectual equivalent of blindly following the blue line on a GPS until you literally drive your car into a lake.
Into a lake, right. And I know you listening right now have felt that temptation. I mean, we all have. The urge to just passively consume whatever an AI spits out is kind of the siren song of our generation.
It really is.
But today, we are unpacking a framework that acts as an absolute antidote to that cognitive atrophy. It's a concept called the AI learning constitution.
Right.
And it is this universal system designed to help you learn deeply alongside artificial intelligence, but without surrendering your own cognitive edge. The entire mission here is to shift AI from being a glorified answer generator into an actual collaborative partner.
And that distinction between, an answer generator and a partner, it requires us to draw a very hard line dividing the labor.
Okay, let's unpack that.
Yeah, so if we are going to use AI without losing our critical thinking muscles, we have to establish the ground rules of the relationship. The framework lays out a really specific dynamic. Basically, the machine has a job and you have a human job.
Right.
The AI's role is to organize vast amounts of information, explain dense concepts, provide varied examples, and just accelerate your overall discovery.
So it's almost like, okay, think of the AI as a world-class librarian.
Ooh, I like that.
Like the librarian can fetch all the best books, they can synthesize the chapters, they can even organize your bibliography for you. But you, the human, you still have to write the actual essay.
Exactly. The framework literally calls this the guiding rule. AI assists the learning, but humans remain responsible for the thinking. And the reason this matters so much is that human learning is not just some digital data transfer.
Right, it's not just downloading files to a hard drive.
No, it's a biological system. The framework points out that natural human learning follows a very specific evolutionary sequence. It starts with observation, which leads to pattern recognition, which leads to experimentation, and finally adaptation.
Okay.
That is the physical neurological architecture of how your brain makes sense of reality. Now, AI can dramatically speed up that first step, the observation phase.
Because it fetches the data instantly.
Exactly. But if you ask the AI to do the pattern recognition and the experimentation for you, you break the biological learning cycle entirely. The machine does the adapting and your brain stays exactly the same.
Wow. Okay, so if we are the drivers and AI is just the navigation system, how do we actually run this engine? Because the framework maps out a comprehensive learning cycle.
It does. It's a 6-stage learning cycle.
And it completely bypasses the idea of just memorizing definitions. It all starts with the spark of genuine curiosity.
Right. Stage 1 is curiosity. All meaningful learning has to begin with a question.
Not an answer.
Right. Not an answer. The framework provides some excellent starting points to illustrate this. Someone might ask, why do ecosystems maintain balance? Or how does DNA actually store biological information?
Or what are the underlying mechanisms of climate change?
Yes, exactly. The goal at the very beginning isn't to have the answer at all. It is simply to identify a clear problem that you genuinely want to explore.
Which brings us to stage 2, the exploration phase. And this is where you actually invite the AI into the process, right?
Yeah.
You take that spark of curiosity and you ask the AI to help you explore it, but at a conceptual level.
Conceptual being the key word there.
Right. The recommended approach here is to ask for simple explanations, request real-world examples, and ask for visual or conceptual descriptions. Like, if you want to understand how DNA stores information, asking for a visual description like a double helix acting like a twisted zipper of chemical code that's going to build a much stronger mental model than reading a dense academic definition.
Totally. You are using the AI to build a foundational understanding. But, and this is the exact moment where the process usually goes off the rails for people,
Yeah.
because you get that beautifully formatted bulleted list from the AI, and it sounds incredibly confident.
It never stutters.
Never. It never says, I think, or maybe.
Yeah.
It just delivers this pristine explanation, and the natural human instinct is to just accept it, close the laptop, and feel like, you've learned something.
Right, checking it off the to-do list.
Exactly. But the framework strictly prohibits this.
Mm-hmm.
It introduces stage 3, which is a massive point of friction.
Mm.
Rigorous verification.
Okay, I have to push back on this a little bit.
Go for it.
Because I'm thinking on behalf of every busy professional listening right now. If I am using an advanced AI and it gives me a perfectly logical explanation of how an ecosystem maintains balance, why can't I just take the win?
I get that. It feels tedious.
It really does. Stopping to compare multiple sources, hunt down scientific evidence, and check the logical consistency of every single claim. It feels like being told to eat a bowl of raw broccoli after you've already been served a beautifully cooked meal. I mean, I have deadlines. Why do I need to artificially slow myself down to fact-check a machine that literally read the entire internet?
That is such a fair question.
Yeah.
But the answer is that the machine didn't read the internet in the way a human reads a book.
What do you mean?
We have to look at the actual mechanics of how artificial intelligence generates text. It relies on probabilistic text generation.
Okay.
It is not retrieving a saved file of absolute truth from a database. It is calculating the statistical probability of which word should come next in a sentence based on its training data.
So it's basically guessing.
Yes, it is the ultimate guesser. And this means AI is entirely capable of generating plausible-sounding falsehoods. It can hallucinate facts, citations, and entire logical frameworks that look completely perfect but are fundamentally incorrect.
Oh, man.
Therefore, verification, this stage 3, is not just some moral chore or a box to tick. It is a technical necessity. The framework establishes this as an absolute ethical guardrail. Responsible learning requires you to verify information before you accept it as truth.
So skipping it is just dangerous.
Yeah, maintaining intellectual honesty and respecting scientific reasoning are just non-negotiable here.
Yeah.
If you bypass the verification process, you aren't actually learning. You are just blindly trusting a statistical algorithm.
Okay, fair enough. I understand the danger of hallucinations, but let's say I do the work, right? I ask the AI about climate change mechanisms. I get the conceptual breakdown. I cross-reference the claims with the scientific journal. I verify the data.
Beautiful.
So now the information sitting on my screen is 100% true and factual.
Right.
But having a list of verified facts on a screen doesn't mean my brain has actually encoded them. I haven't formed the neural pathways yet. So how do we force the brain to take those external facts and turn them into internal knowledge?
By introducing even more cognitive...
More friction. Great.
I know. But this is where the framework shifts us from the phase of just consuming information into stages 4 and 5. Reconstruction and creation. This is the critical threshold between simply memorizing data for a test and actually internalizing knowledge for life.
And stage 4 reconstruction is fascinating to me because it forces you to break what they call the illusion of competence.
Yes, that illusion is so strong.
It is. When you read a perfectly synthesized AI summary, your brain tricks you into thinking, yes, I could have written that. I completely understand this.
What you don't.
No. But the framework demands that you reconstruct the concepts. You have to rewrite the explanation entirely in your own words. Or you have to draw a concept map. Or, honestly, my personal favorite, you just hit record on your phone and try to verbally explain the idea out loud without looking at your notes.
Oh, it's a great method.
It is. It reminds me of buying flat pack furniture.
Flat pack furniture.
Yeah, think about it. You go to a store, you buy a complex desk, and it comes in a flat box with 100 different pieces. Those pieces are the verified facts you just gathered in stage 3. Reconstruction is like throwing away the instruction manual and forcing yourself to figure out how those pieces connect based purely on your own spatial reasoning.
Oh, I love that analogy. And the moment you try to connect two pieces that don't fit, or, you finish the desk and realize you have a metaphorical leftover screw sitting on the floor.
The worst feeling.
Right. But that's when the illusion of competence shatters. You realize you didn't actually understand the structural integrity of the desk at all. When you try to explain a concept out loud to your phone and you suddenly start stuttering and repeating yourself, you are finding that leftover screw.
Exactly.
You're exposing the gaps in your own neural pathways.
And that friction, that super frustrating moment of realization is where the learning is actually happening. Your brain is literally being forced to fire new connections to solve the problem.
Which perfectly sets up the next crucial phase, stage 5, creation. If reconstruction is putting the store-bought desk together, creation is taking those underlying principles of carpentry and designing a brand new chair from scratch.
Right.
The framework demands that you apply your newly verified, reconstructed knowledge to build something original.
And it provides incredibly practical outputs for this, too. You don't just sit and think about the knowledge, you write an educational article. Or you script and record a short video.
Yeah, or design an infographic, or run a small experiment to test the theory.
We really need to linger on why this is so important from a cognitive standpoint.
Definitely.
Let's take the infographic example. If you command the AI to generate an infographic about ecosystem balance, the AI does all the heavy lifting, right? It determines the visual hierarchy, it establishes the relationships between predators and prey, it summarizes the text.
Does all the thinking.
Exactly. But if you are forced to design that infographic, you have to make those hard choices yourself. You have to decide which piece of information is the core pillar and which pieces are supporting details. Making those decisions forces your brain to myelinate those new neural pathways. It turns fragile short-term memory into robust long-term mastery.
You are converting abstract knowledge into a practical, usable skill. I mean, it is the vast canyon of difference between knowing the dictionary definition of a hammer and actually knowing how to swing it to drive a nail.
Well said.
And notice the underlying theme here across all these stages. At every single step, the framework is intentionally blocking you from letting the AI do the final assembly. The AI can fetch the wood, it can organize the tools, it can even show you pictures of what a chair looks like, but you have to swing the hammer.
Right. So you've swung the hammer, you've built the chair, you've designed the infographic or written the article. Where does this process take us next? Because learning isn't just a straight line that ends when you finish a project.
No, it brings us to stage 6, which is reflection. You look at what you just created and you interrogate your own understanding. You actively ask yourself, what did I grasp clearly during this project? What elements still feel confusing or fragile?
Finding the weak spots.
Right. And based on those gaps, you ask, what do I need to learn next?
Which immediately triggers the entire cycle all over again. Your reflection generates a new question, which sparks new curiosity, which leads to new AI-assisted exploration, verification, reconstruction, and creation.
It's a loop.
And it's a continuous self-feeding loop. But this loop isn't a hamster wheel. You aren't just spinning in place, covering the same ground. This loop is the engine that drives you down a specific trajectory.
Yes, the framework charts this trajectory as a distinct mastery path. You don't remain a beginner forever if you follow this system. You transition through different identities as your competence grows.
What are those identities?
Well, level 1 is the learner. You start purely focused on understanding, grasping the foundational ideas, and exploring concepts. You are essentially a student of the material.
Okay, making sense.
But as you repeat the loop and you spend more time in that creation phase, your identity shifts to level 2. The builder. Yeah. You are no longer just absorbing theories about climate change. You are actively applying that knowledge to problem solve, run experiments, or develop localized solutions.
So you're putting it to use.
Exactly. But the ultimate realization of this path level 3, the master goes beyond just building things for yourself.
This is where it gets really profound.
It really does. The framework asserts that true mastery is demonstrated not by passing a final exam or, holding a certification. It's demonstrated by the ability to expand the knowledge base and teach others.
Wow.
You reach a point where your focus shifts toward creating entirely new ideas and helping others navigate the same learning cycle you just completed.
And this is where the framework introduces its community learning model. I think it is just a beautiful way to look at the life cycle of education. It encourages you to take those original creations, the articles, the videos, the infographics, and publish them as open educational resources.
Share them with the world.
Yeah. It challenges you to intentionally seek out beginners and explain complex ideas simply.
There is such a profound sentiment embedded in this framework. Knowledge grows when learners become teachers. When you share your verified, deeply internalized understanding with the world, you aren't just solidifying your own mastery. You are actively elevating the baseline of the entire community.
You're giving back.
You are feeding verified, human-reasoned knowledge back into the ecosystem, which, let's be honest, is vital in an era where the internet is increasingly flooded with unchecked AI-generated noise.
It completely flips the script on how we interact with technology. I mean, we started this deep dive staring at a blank AI prompt, tempted to just type in a command and let the machine do our thinking. We were looking at AI as a crutch, really, a way to bypass the hard work of cognitive effort.
Right, the easy way out.
But this AI learning constitution provides a rigorous blueprint for the exact opposite approach. It transforms AI into a high-powered accelerator for your own intellect.
It maps out how to ingest vast amounts of information rapidly, verify it ruthlessly, and then use that friction of reconstruction and creation to permanently encode that knowledge into your own brain.
It is essentially a survival guide for remaining deeply intellectually human in the age of artificial intelligence. It empowers you to learn independently, think critically, create original insights, and share that mastery globally.
Absolutely.
So before we wrap up today, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over, drawing on that biological comparison we discussed earlier. The framework explicitly links human learning to the natural evolutionary cycle of observation, adaptation, and improvement.
Mhm.
If learning alongside AI truly mimics biological evolution, we have to seriously consider the long-term consequences of our daily habits. Every time you face a complex problem, you have a choice. If you habitually succumb to the temptation of outsourcing the reasoning, the pattern recognition, and the creation to the machine, well, what happens to your cognition over the next decade?
It's a scary thought.
It is. If the AI does all the adapting, do your critical thinking muscles effectively devolve? It is an evolutionary risk that goes far beyond a single project or a single browser tab. Your curiosity, your friction, and your ability to adapt are your most vital human traits. Guard your role in this partnership rigorously, because the machine can give you the map, but it cannot take the journey for you. Until next time, keep exploring.